So I'm Doron. This is Giori. We hail from Tel Aviv, a tiny little town in a crazy little country. And we're here to show our game Blind Drive, which, as you can probably surmise, is an audio game about driving blind.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so before we get into the game, I thought we should introduce ourselves a little and what it is we do. So we call ourselves Lo-Fi People. We're a small collective. As I said, we're based in Tel Aviv. It's like we're a group of artists, filmmakers, musicians, coders, basically a bunch of friends who get together and make some stuff. Sometimes independent, sometimes commercial projects. So we're all heavily influenced by games, but we didn't originally get together for making games. We had more of like a general public approach where we wanted to get our stuff out in front of as many people as possible, be it virtual or physical spaces. We have backgrounds in animation and music and interactivity, and we just try to mix them all together. So we're going to show you a few of our earlier projects, and then we'll like lead up to the game. All right, so this is Knock, the jazzy door. I'm just gonna let it speak for itself. So you knock, it knocks back, it improvises. Thank you, Knock. Another project of ours called Milgram. So Milgram is a stop-motion band who we collaborated with. So it's a project that involved a lot of different sides that we like to bring. There was a music album, a music video, stop-motion shot, and an arcade machine, which was like an interactive way to engage with the band. This was actually how the band went on tour. So the idea is 3-player station. Every player controls a different band member. And this little thing would go around tours and bars in Tel Aviv and galleries, museum spaces, random parties and things like that. And we also released it for iPhone, or they released it for iPhone, actually. I'm going to let Dali, the lead singer, tell you a little more about how it works.
Hey, Mark. Steve. I've got a new iPhone app. Check it out. So there's a bunch of songs. And play. Change loop.
This is iPhone 3, I should mention.
Guitar. And me.
Maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. Is it this? Is it that? Maybe.
Drum solo. And back.
As I can see, it's not really a game, but it's like, what can we do with interactivity, music, and animation all at once in your face? Excuse me. Other stuff we do is like community-based projects. So iFighter is a fighting game that we set up where the audience can actually become their own character. So what we do is we go to like a community center or an event or a conference or whatever. We set up a green screen. Whoever stops by and sees a pile of random props can just try them on. And then we direct them to like do their different moves. And then within a few minutes, they get their character on screen on arcade machines nearby. And then total chaos ensues. We also got like a mic where they can record their own sounds, which was really disturbing. This is another project. This is more of like an artistic, poetic one, which, we do have that side in us. It's a collaboration with our good friend, Eran Hileli, who's an animation director. Let's just show you a little video, and then we'll move on.
Can you put more volume, please?
So the idea was a space in which everyone who enters room for us, and then we just jammed it out, sitting on the floor and projectors on us. Okay, that was the nicely shot video version. This is how it looked in real life. There were like 30 people in there.
That it was how it actually sounds like.
Okay, so now let's move on to Blind Drive, which is what we're showing here at Fantastic Arcade. So as I said, it's an audio game about driving blindfolded. Now, as you saw in our other projects, we kind of start out thinking, like, how can we do something that is a very impactful experience that you walk up to in a physical space, or you just stumble upon online, and you get this like in your face, really impactful experience, and then you walk away and left with whatever emotions that triggered. So that's kind of how the idea for this started out. Giori sat at home in his studio, sketched out this Maximus P version of like what it would be like to really feel and hear what you're used to hearing while driving, but blank out all the visuals. Like, what would it trigger? So then I showed up at his house one day, and he showed me this thing, and on his like amazing sound system, you hear the engine revving up. It really like punches you in the gut. So as soon as we started hearing that, we're like, okay, we have to develop this. Like, what else can we do with it? But once we started playing around with it, it was actually kind of fun, trying to dodge all these cars coming at you, trucks coming at you. So I should say first, like, the basic idea of the game is you're sitting in a car, you're on the freeway, you're driving against traffic, and there are like trucks and cars and motorcycles coming at you, and the goal is do not die. So after dying many times ourselves and also like trying to throw different things at it, we obviously started pitching crazier ideas, and what would it sound like if we were flying in the sky, and what would it sound like if we were flying underwater, what it would sound like off-road, on-road, upside down, etc. That's when we started to realize that maybe we should actually make this a game. And once we started making it into a game, we realized we have to explain what's going on, because it's an audio game. So we thought, okay, what could be a tutorial for this? So we started pitching crazy ideas for tutorials. Eventually we ended up with like a really horribly cheesy B-movie style narrative that kind of twists randomly in whatever mood we were in that day. So I think we're just going to show you some of our footage and play through it. Now I don't know if sound in here is stereo enough to actually like feel where things are coming from, but Giori's going to play with headphones on and hopefully doesn't embarrass ourselves. Okay, so before we start, let me just say that you're going to hear a lot of my shitty temp voice acting, which I was doing while coding. And every time Giori needed a bit of narrative, he would be, okay, say something. And then I would turn around and speak into the mic. So that's what you're going to hear now. But in the final game, we will have like a proper script and proper actors doing it. So just sort of, extrapolate from whatever you hear now. This is going to be so embarrassing. Hello?
Are you in the starting position?
Yes, by the edge of the highway.
Are you wearing the blindfold?
I'm wearing it.
Good. Remember, take off the blindfold and the deal's off. We're watching you.
So, what now?
Thought you'd never ask. Start driving.
What do you mean, start driving?
Start driving.
But I can't see a thing. Fuck.
Attaboy.
But I'm driving against traffic!
Relax. Now, pay attention. Do you have ears?
What?
Do you have ears?
Yes!
So use them. Listen for approaching cars. Hear which side they're coming from and move to the opposite side.
Wait, what? How am I supposed to...
Here comes one now.
So that's how we came up with a tutorial for that. Thing spun out of control.
Not bad. Very graceful. Excellent.
I'm gonna get killed, is that the deal?
Keep going. Don't let us down.
Wait, what? Hello? Hello? Oh, shit.
Okay, so now you can see Giori's got his headphones on. And you can hear which way cars are coming from. So I'm going to talk a little about the game design here and how we got it to be actually fun. So the basic idea here is spatial awareness, right? So we all have this innate sense of like how far things are from us, what direction they're coming from. We tried to emulate that in here. And so the first level is just basically that. You hear a car coming, just steer out of the way. The controls are very arcade-like, so you don't have to like worry about like, oh my god, am I holding the wheel straight? Or you just choose a side and the car swerves from lane to lane. I'm actually going to get into that a little further along. Let's see how well he does in this very stressful setting.
Yeah,
Looks like you're getting the hang of it.
this is insane. I'm gonna take the blindfold off.
You don't want to do that.
Come on, man, be reasonable.
I am reasonable. Oh, quick! Hold to the left! 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 Oh, good one. You must have hit a bicycle.
What the hell? Why did you make me do that?
It's good for the soul.
What? I'm not gonna do that shit.
Yes, you will. Maybe you forgot what's at stake here. Do you need a reminder?
No.
I guess you do.
No, please, no. Not the cuckoo clock.
Now, be a good boy, and the rest will be fine. Wait for my next call.
Oh, man.
Okay, so what you heard now is us trying to shake things up a bit.
Fucking cyclist fucker.
Sorry about that. So at first level, you start to like get a sense of like, okay, this is not as panicky as I thought it would be. Like I hear the car coming, I steer out of the way, I got this. But then what happens is you kind of start to develop muscle memory really quickly. Like you hear a sound and you press the opposite direction. And we wanted to change that up, so. Ooh, nice, Giori. Then the bicycles start coming at you. Now you can just run them over if you like. You get extra points. You don't have to. The guy on the phone is going to mess with you the whole time. So yeah, you can decide how shitty a person you're going to be. And your character kind of will try to figure out what side you're on. Let's move on to like, we're going to skip to like some later levels and talk about other things we did. So each one of these things we did, we really having a great time with them, but after a while you realize, okay, we want more. What else can we do with sound? So what does sound give us as a mechanic? So the next thing we realized is, okay, so with our visual sense, we can really focus on something and really quickly understand what is in front of us. With sound, it takes a little more effort, but on the other hand, you can process a lot of information at once. Like, so we're all used to driving a car, but we're not used to thinking about what information we're getting while driving. So what we did is try to like test how you can still pick out signals while getting a lot of stuff going around.
Yeah, so where's this drop-off?
Don't be an impatient brat. Before the drop-off, we have a little mission for you.
Hey, but our agreement was I drop the car off and you give me Grandma back.
Our agreement has changed.
Yeah, we have a heat
You
pack in
have a
grandma
problem.
somewhere.
Should I ask this awful crystal vase what it thinks?
Don't. I'll do what you want.
Relax, the mission will be fun. Here's something to cheer you up. Come on, Grandma, let's dance.
You sick bastards, get out of her house!
Alright, so he can remote control your car, and here he is turning up like the radio. Most people just lose their shit when they get to this level. Because they're like, okay, I could sort of figure out what's going on, but now I have to deal with this. And surprisingly, if you wind down a bit and chill out, you start to really feel how your hearing separates what you're looking for and what's the ambience. So a lot about the game is we always recommend playing it with your eyes closed because a big part of audio is how strongly it triggers your imagination. So anyone who's worked with animation before knows you can take like a little stick figure and then put this amazingly realistic forest sound or whatever, and then you're in a forest.
I can't go any faster than...
So
Sure you can.
yeah, when you play with your eyes closed, you really start to feel the car and the road and the wind from the open windows. And that's a huge part of the game. Let's skip to like the police chase thing and. All right. So one of the things also sound gives you, it's really strong trigger for your sense of rhythm, right? Obviously. However, this is not a rhythm game, but we did want to try to get that in as a kind of an element.
What do I do?
So this is like
I'm
a
gonna have to stop,
brand new
man.
level we got together for the build for the festival. So obviously you can't keep running bikers down and not get police on you. This is like the first mini boss.
They always use the same line. Wait for him to pull up beside you.
He's gonna ram me off the road!
Do as I say and you'll be fine. Now!
Well, what does now mean?
You're pretty thick, you know that? Ram into him before he rams into you. Now! You got him! Stupid cops. He's not gonna give up.
So basically the police car is coming at you from the back.
By now.
If you swerve too early, he's gonna ram into you in the back. If you swerve too late, he smashes you on the side. So you just gotta time it perfectly. Again, this is where the imagination comes in. If you're just gonna be staring at the screen, you're not gonna be really feeling it. If you close your eyes and you start to reimagine how the police car is kind of swerving on your side, it immediately clicks. Yeah, what else? Okay, let's talk a bit about like.
We're actually getting a little tight on time. Do you guys want to take a question or
Ooh,
two?
that was quick.
Yeah.
Well,
We've got some complications.
Sure, I'll just mention one point about the realistic versus playable thing, because I think a lot of people in sound deal with that. We want it to be as realistic as possible. We also want it to be playable. So the trade-off between that is really tricky to find. We're still like, we think we're on the right track, but there's always room for improvement. What turns out is when you look at a lot of driving games, that the sound is completely unrealistic. But what you're seeing in front of you sort of makes it all work together, right? You're hearing the car way too loud. Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, that's good. Yeah, someone should stop me.
Hey, so yeah, I was curious about like what your thoughts were about if you're thinking like people might consider a game like this to be insensitive to, especially to when you're dealing with things like trauma and violence. And I don't know, have you talked to anyone that's experienced like a traumatic event in like a car crash or whatever? Like it just feels like somewhat insensitive to like use that as a subject matter.
All right, that's a good point, and it's actually on my list here. So one of the first things we noticed is what emotional impact this has. And like you said, a lot of people had negative experiences in car accidents or other traumatic experiences would really get emotional. Some people would start like sweating and getting like red in the face. And whenever we asked people afterwards, like, was that too intense? Like, they were always like, oh no, you got to keep doing this. So we just took that as okay. It doesn't have to be pleasant to be a positive experience, even if it triggers some really intense emotions.
Have you considered maybe like a warning or something, so people kind of know what they're getting into, or do you just assume from the marketing materials that they kind of know what they're getting into?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know about that. Again, a lot of we haven't received yet feedback from
Yeah.
players saying, I was not expecting that was like a bad experience. Even people who were saying that it did trigger some traumatic experiences for them, we're very happy to have the opportunity to deal with them. So that was our personal experience. It might change, based on yeah. We did, yeah. One of our first playtesters was in a car crash, and I was like, "Oh my God, should I have not have given that to you?" And he's like, "No, you have to do this." So, yep.
Do you have any other questions?
Hey, I really liked what you said about the whole thing about kind of expectations and reality in audio. Was there anything more you kind of found out while playtesting the game, like levels or humorous, goofy sounds or Hollywoodish sounds versus realistic sounds?
Do you want to say something about that?
We did find out that there is a really big difference at how people can succeed in like understanding the gameplay. Like I think in opposed to video games, there is a really broad scale of people that cannot play at all and cannot understand where the sound coming from, and people that can play like 80% of the game without hitting one car. Like
yeah, there's a huge difficulty range, and an interesting thing is it doesn't matter what kind of gamer you are. You could be the most hardcore gamer. There is no way you can know whether you can be good at an audio game. Some people just can't figure it out. Others are like, it's too easy. What the fuck, So, yeah, that's one thing. And another interesting thing is that as far as the type of sounds go, so you want it to be realistic, but you also have to explain what's going on. We tried to really keep the UI minimal, but then how do you distinguish between a positive crash, like, yay, I got the police car, or, oh shit, the police car got me? So we are experimenting. I mean, it's obviously still not 100% there, but like, video game power-up noises really give you the feeling like, whew, okay, I scored, yeah.
Did you guys ever get a chance to play Deep Sea, Robin Arnott's game?
No.
That's the only video game that's ever made me have a panic attack.
Yeah,
you
you can
control
download
your
it, actually.
breathing at the same time. It's really upsetting.
You can download it, but then it's got like a 3-page manual on how to like get an old gas mask and a glue gun. And so, yeah, we just hand out little blindfolds for those who want to try that.